हैंड ऑफ दे दीजिए, ठीक है, हैंड ऑफ दे दीजिए एक। लाइव। So can we start? Audible? Last one at the end. So very good evening to all of you, and a very good evening to my online students as well. So I was not here for quite a while. Actually, my grandmother passed away, and this is the first lecture I'm taking after that. Very emotional moment for me as well. So when I decided to come into teaching, so she was one of the first person to encourage me to do that. So sorry. So give me a minute, please. आप लोगों को देख के एनर्जी आ गई। चलो बस चलो क्लास के बाद चलो। अरे तीर्थी, गॉड ब्लेस यू। चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट। Thank you so much, guys, for bearing with me. So today's session is one of those kind of sessions which I was planning since very long. Of course, I wanted to do it a little early, but it's never too late to start something which is useful and relevant in life. So as you can see, the theme of the session is Current Affairs Toolkit for Mains Answer Writing. There are two things here which you must be noticing. First is current affairs, not audible. Audible? Visible? All right. So current affairs, the biggest puzzle for UPSC, right? Now, ignore this toolkit. Toolkit became very famous, for what reasons? So the next one is mains answer writing. Mains is not very difficult. This part is tricky. So today's session will focus on current affairs and how to use it for answer writing, obviously for mains. Now, before we do this, let me tell you how this session will be slightly different, because I designed it in a slightly different way. See, I didn't want to come in front of you and tell you that these are the 35 points which you should keep in mind to write your mains answer, because you know it by now. They are also important, but you already know it. So what is there that I'm bringing on the table? Current affairs, where to use current affairs, and why is it even needed for mains answer writing. मैं दिखाता हूँ आपको. Let me show you. You'll understand. See. So I know it's your favorite. So it was not very difficult for me to select. So that's your content. Thank you. You are so kind. Harsh, thank you. So that's your content. Content is the king for UPSC mains, you know it, right? It's very, very important. But what if I bring this cake in front of you on your birthday and put it on the table where you are celebrating your birthday with your family and friends? Something looks incomplete and missing here. What is that? The icing, the cherry, right? So look at this. I put the icing here, but the icing has not been put in a very good way. It's just spread somehow. So that's your structuring, but it's better than this. Now, this is current affairs. So all the fruits and the kind of organized icing. So some sprinkles all over there, chocolates, etc. That's your current affairs. So you can see this, no? What have we done here on the cake? We have put some fruits, different kind of fruits. So these fruits show you facts, data, reports, trend, and some quotations from somebody who is very famous like Dr. Amartya Sen, maybe Dr. Rajan, etc., etc. So these are the current affairs elements that we need to put in. अच्छा एक चीज देख रहे हो आप? Are you noticing something? We have not overloaded it with current affairs. Because if you overload it with current affairs, then content takes a backseat. And then the examiner starts to feel that you are good in mugging up things, but you are not good in analyzing and presenting things properly. Maybe tomorrow you'll represent India in UN, WTO, and you start to bombard with facts. Trade percentage is this, that, but you are shallow on the argument side. So then they will not respect you. You won't be able to make your point. So that is the reason that all these three elements are required. So what happens in UPSC, we are almost like next to impossible to reach this stage. We are somewhere between this and this. So that is what practically we can do. This is perfection. Perfection is a myth, you know it. And who knows it better than UPSC aspirants? So what we can do is we'll start from there, and the current affairs that I'll provide you, if not the entire look of this cake, at least we'll try to achieve this and make it as close as possible to this one. So that's the thing. Okay, what's the rule of current affairs? Only one rule for today's lecture. Ye dekho. This is my favorite thing which I show to everyone about current affairs. See, current affairs is a journey like this. If you start running in that direction, collect data, facts, reports, etc., infinite. You never know where to stop. There is no line where you can say, this is it. So it's infinite. But then what is the rule? Where to stop? Because we should know our boundaries and limits. So where to stop is this. So you cover as much distance from where it is possible for you to come back and revise. So only that far you go in current affairs. For example, if I can memorize 20 data related to agriculture, but when it comes to reproduction of data, reproducing it in the examination conditions, thank you, I can reproduce only 5. Out of 20, only 5. Only 5 are relevant for me. I should not have wasted my time preparing 20 data set, because everybody knows how much you can memorize and reproduce. So that is the reason that you should put a boundary there. that, okay, for everything like agriculture, industry, services, etc., how much data will I memorize, how many reports will I read, and where will I put a full stop? Why will you put a full stop? So that you can come back, revise, and write it in the exam. So I'll tell you through some examples how to go about it. By the way, to my online students and offline students, are you having this toolkit, this set of pages? Let's start. So I won't give you gyan like how to go about it. We'll directly jump in the water and learn to swim. Yahi karte hai. There is very funny thing. So I remember that for the first time when I was learning to drive, I had two options. So take the help of a driver and take the help of YouTube. I took the help of YouTube. And you can imagine what would have happened after that. So telling you that, hey, work hard, read newspaper, make notes, it's like telling you to learn driving and flying aircraft through YouTube. But actually making you write answer in the class, and I also get involved in writing, and then see how to go about it, what not to do, is like going out on the road and trying to drive. Okay, accidents will happen, but not fatal accidents. So little bit of hitting here and there, the vehicle will get damaged, but you will become a very sharp driver. So that is what we are going to do. So let me show you my plan for today. First question. And which page will you open? You'll open page number, I'll tell you. And please be honest in doing what we are going to do in the class. Right, page number 7. Yes, page number 7. So let us see. Page number 7. Please open only page number 7. Where is the toolkit? So where is it? Material section. To my online students, please download it so that you can take the best advantage of this session. And all of you are having it already, right? Take your pen out, and I'm going to tell you what to go do about it. Ye dekhiye. Perhaps this is the first time you're going to do something like this, but we'll do it together. Let's read the question. Dekhiye question kya bolta hai? What does the question say? It says e-governance as a critical tool of governance has ushered in effectiveness, transparency, accountability in governments. What inadequacies hamper the enhancement of these features? 150 words, 10 marks. It could have been asked in 250 words also, 15 marks also. We have seen that. UPSC picks up a theme, asks it in 10 marks in 1 year. After 2 years, same question is asked in the 15 marks. So that's not the point here. Point is how to go about this question. I'm going to tell you right away, because this is not an answer writing session. This is a session about telling you how to use current affairs in answer writing. So thoda session is a little different. So I won't waste your time. Seedha, I'll tell you the structure, and then I'll tell you where to use current affairs. Dekhiye, see this please. So what to do about it? First, you underline the keywords. Everybody will tell you underline the keywords, but there is one thing which we miss out. After you underline the keywords, what do you do about it? Jaise, this is a keyword, then governance is a keyword. Then you have transparency, accountability is the keyword, effectiveness is the keyword, inadequacies are the keyword. Aur bhi kya hai? Features. I said, but what to do about it? Very simple algebra, linear algebra that we learned in standard 5th. A leads to B leads to C. What is this? So see, what is it saying? E-governance as a critical tool of governance. Ye dekhiye. So what is it saying? E-governance leads to good governance. That's the first relationship. So A and B. Abhi, what does it say? It says it has ushered in effectiveness, transparency, and accountability, which means since we have started to use e-governance, it has added 3 exclusive features to the governance model of this country. What are these 3 features? You can see there. Kya likha hai? It's shining. I can't read it properly. Effectiveness, transparency, ETA. These are the 3 things that it is providing. Bas, yehi karna. That is what we'll do. We'll write it like this: effectiveness, transparency, accountability. Which means the moment e-governance comes, see what has happened because of e-governance? These 3 things are helping us to get a good model of governance. Page number 7 to my online students. So can you see this relationship now? Which means because of e-governance, 3 things have happened and it is leading to better governance in India. A question is saying that what inadequacies hamper these features. So first of all, it's a very precise, very technically correct statement, and this statement ends with a full stop, which is you have to argue about this statement. That's the first part of the question. You have to argue that actually it leads to this through these 3 channels. That's the first part of the body. It is not saying explain, but it is inherently mentioned in the question. You have to argue. And the second part says this is good, but what are the shortcomings that we are facing which needs to be improved? That is the second part. Which means ये पूरे model में, in this entire model, what are the challenges, which means what are the negativities. If we remove those negativities, this process of transmission of e-governance to good governance will become smooth. That is the question. Ab dekho, what have I done? One exercise we are going to do in the class. So I have written this answer for you. I wrote this sample answer. Now, this is how, have you ever, by the way, let me ask you this question. Did you ever wonder that what are those instructions which are given to the evaluators in the mains examination, that on what parameters do they evaluate, etc.? Have you wondered about it? Did you find an answer? Kya mila aapko? Which evaluator will come in public and say that, and in all these paper leak scams that are happening? Even if somebody wanted to come out and say that, hey, I will help you, nobody will come out now, right? So answer keys, no, but mains answer keys are not available. From authentic sources like UPSC, mains answer keys are not available, which means it's only a conjecture that, okay, they might be doing this. So as per best of my knowledge, I won't tell you the source, right? So I told you paper leaks, all these things are happening. So I won't tell the source, but I'll tell you based on whatever information I have collected from various sources. This is how marking is done. This is a very crude framework of marking. Now, there are some details also, which need not be discussed today, because I told you that this is not answer writing. This is current affairs wala answer writing. So my focus is slightly different. So, but this is generally the structure which the evaluators use in UPSC to give you marks. Chalo dekhte hain, what is the structure? Introduction 2 marks. If it's a 10-mark question, introduction 2 marks, roughly. Now, in the body of the answer, you can clearly see the session is for both 2024 and 2025. Hoping that mains won't change next year. So this is the body of the answer. Guys, did you notice that in the body of the answer, we had to write 2 bodies? One, the statement, which said that e-governance leads to good governance, isn't it? And second was the limitation and the challenges. So for body 1, which is the impact, 3 marks. Impact, matlab, what is the impact of e-governance on governance in general? 3 marks, 3 marks for inadequacy. Inadequacies means challenges and negativities, and those things which we have not been able to resolve in governance. So 3 marks for that. So let's add it. 2, 3 plus 3, 6 plus 2, 8, and 2 marks for conclusion. If your presentation is good, you will not get extra marks. But if your presentation is bad, marks will be deducted. That is the rule. So there is no extra marks for presentation. But yes, since there is something called human bias, you understand psychology, there is something called human bias. If I tend to like the structure, I might end up giving half marks extra. But the rule doesn't say that. So how am I basing all these arguments? Based upon various universities where I was involved as a PhD scholar, as a faculty, as a professor. There I learned, okay, this is how things are done in India across various universities in North and South, East, West, everywhere, all the government universities. So for presentation, if you do it well, it might reflect in half a marks extra. But if your presentation is bad, फिर तो 1 marks deducted सीधा, straight away. Similarly, words. So this is a 150-word question. See what I have done. This is the answer which I have given you, the template answer that I have given you. Let's count the number of words. ये देखो, I have already counted because I wanted to show something to you. देखिए, this is the introduction. इस पे आएंगे, we'll come to the details. But let's first see the words. So introduction, 20 words. This is a diagram. Everybody tells you draw a diagram. Huh? This is one of the diagrams which I drew. And I deliberately did something like this to show you that actually in the exam we do this, because we are not perfectly ready for all the answers. How do we know it? We are not God. So we'll do something like this. So 30 words here. See how rich the diagram is. Some people call it as a tree diagram, something mind map, etc., etc. So 30 words. Impact of governance. Remember those 3 things which are mentioned in the question, that these 3 things lead from e-governance to good governance. So 30 words. And then inadequacies is the main part of the answer. So about inadequacies, see how many points have I written? 6 points, 70 words. Conclusion, I have written in 40 words. You can write in 20, 10 words also. It depends how much words you have already used here. So if you have used a lot of words in the body of the answer, you shorten the conclusion. But I have written it in 40 words. Chalo isko count karte. Let's add it. Bataiye, please add. CSAT. 190. Perfect. So it's 190. How many words should you write if the word limit is 150 words? around 150, 160, 165, not beyond that. Because then it will start to show up somewhere. And people who evaluate, they are very experienced. So go from 150 to 160, chalo 165. If you are writing exceptionally good answer, 170, not beyond that. Because after that, you will be getting a penalty. See the 1 marks deducted. Now, I did something in this answer sheet. For a 10 marker, you will get 2 pages like this. You will have approximately 7 minutes to write your answer, 7.5 minutes to write your answer. In that 7 minutes, 2 minutes, I'm telling you practically, 2 minutes will go in this kind of brainstorming. So you'll end up having 5 minutes to write 2 pages. Kaise likhoge? How will you write 190 words? We won't be able to write, right? So the first thing is, here if I'm writing more, I have to cut down on the conclusion. This is the idea which you should have in the mind. Now, this answer is in front of you. Let us do one exercise. Uske baad we'll go to the next stage of what I have to teach you. Let's read the answer and please give marks to various sections of this answer. So for example, the maximum marks for intro is 2. So if you really like the intro, give 2 marks, right? And don't be very lenient, be very strict. Behave like UPSC evaluator. Please give marks to this question to various parts: intro, body 1, body 2, and conclusion. So please help our online students to get the PDF. And to my online students, I request you please download the PDF and you please read the answer. Please give marks, okay? And I will ask you how many marks we have given. So give marks to different parts, add it, and please tell me the marks. And you are supposed to look at only page number 7 and 8 of your toolkit. Read it, please. It will help you to learn a lot of things. To my online students, are you doing it? Okay, so one of your friend online. So your friend has mentioned 1 marks for introduction, 5 marks for the body, 1 for conclusion. 7 marks, 70%, huh? Dream marks, 5 marks, 60%. 0. That should be the amount of distractions that you should have while you are preparing. So, is this current affairs lecture started from today regularly? No, this is just a session to help you guys. This is not a session of the Smart Current Affairs program, which is starting from 25th. It's different. It's starting from 25th. But this is a session to help you guys. So if you are preparing on your own, if you want to know the direction, if you want to know what is the right method that we follow for mains answer writing, how to use current affairs, this is that session. It will help you. So, okay, one of your friend is saying 1.5, 1.75, and 1 which is 5.25. Fair enough. चलो यहाँ से पूछते हैं. आप बताइए, how many marks are you giving? 6 marks? 4 marks? In the body, how much marks did you give? In the introduction? 1 marks, okay. How much are you giving? 7? All right. So, how many marks are you giving? 7? Or how many marks are you giving? 5. There. 5.5. Anybody who gives you more than 7, I treat you with a chocolate. So how many marks are you giving? All right, wonderful. So I said virtual chocolate, digital chocolate. Right. All right, fine. So your online friends are giving 4. All right, this is how elections behave in India. I mean, Let's come back. So this is another answer. Same question, different answer. Page number 9 and 10. Read it, please. We don't focus on course, how to join it, focus on the thing that we are doing in the, it will really help you. Uske baad we'll see everything. Knowledge is important first. Everything is secondary. Focus on the knowledge, please. So please read it to my online and offline students. You turn the pages, same answer in a different way. Read it and please give marks. Absolutely. Read it, please. You can clearly see the differences. Page number, I'll tell you. Page number 9 and 10. Page number 9 and 10. Are you reading it? Reading? Done? Did you see the difference? Yes, sir. 2 marks extra. All right. So now let me read the marks. Your online friend is saying 2, 4.5, 1, 7.5. So I can see the range which has increased from 6.5 to 7, 7.5. Aise kuch. Something like that. Huh? Why? What has happened? Data. Overloading of data or basic data is there? Absolutely basic data is there. Did you see the difference? This is the icing on the cake. So anybody who tells you that without current affairs also it's fine, मैं बताता हूँ what difference will come. Every 2 to 3 marks difference in your mains answer, it will end up affecting your rank by more than 100. So that could be the problem that you will land up, which means that with same effort or slightly more effort, like 10% extra effort, using basic examples and numbers, I can get more marks. 1 or 2 marks extra in every question. At least 1 mark, half mark extra in a normal question I can get if I can do something. मैं दिखाता हूँ आपको what is the trick here. अब देखो, the trick that we are using here is we are keeping the intro short, absolutely to the point. Look at the picture. Look at the diagram. The flowchart or the diagram that we have created. Yeah, the number of words have also reduced. This is more neat. The previous diagram, it was chaotic. See, what does it show? Confusion, chaos, lack of structure, good structure, and trying to put too much information in the diagram. It should be avoided. Sometimes I have seen people recommending that make your diagram as rich as possible. What are you trying to say? So whatever we are writing in the answer, we should summarize that in the diagram. Then what is the meaning of diagram? If your diagram becomes a summary of your answer, then why did you draw the diagram? I can read the answer only. I can read the summary only. So your diagram should never be a substitute of your answer. Your diagram should be a tool to enhance the value additions or the appearance of your answer, to give slightly extra information or look at to give the presentation of your answer. जैसे यहाँ पे देखिए, these micro detailings have been done in the diagram. Absolutely not required. Because right from the first point, all these points that we have mentioned is coming again in the points. Wastage of words space. Look how chaotic it is. This thing you have to practice. Avoid this. This is a neat way of doing things. ये देखिए, how organized. So what have we done here? We have divided e-governance into 3 impacts, and then we are writing just 2, 3 words here. That's it. अच्छा, अब यहाँ पे आते हैं. चलो, let's come again. Let's come below. यहाँ पे देखिए. What is the difference that has come in our answer? The difference is, after we are writing a point like e-governance, improves the effectiveness. How does it improve the effectiveness? By improving automation, by streamlining the process. जैसे FASTag. So when your vehicle passes through a toll tax collection center, through FASTag, the toll tax is collected. Up to they are saying that through GPS, they will collect the toll tax, which means that it is increasing the effectiveness and reducing the cost. If you don't give the example of FASTag, passport applications, etc., which is a part of the e-governance model of the government of India, then this point that you are writing is not validated, which means you are not able to prove that point. So for proving the point, using examples and facts and data, you will get something extra, maybe half marks extra. Not for every point, but in totality, half marks extra for this section. अब देखो, second, what have we done? Those things which I have highlighted, ये सब extra point. एक चीज दिखाता हूँ आपको, how to use newspaper. Look at this. What is the impact of e-governance on governance? It enhances transparency. Look at this point carefully. बहुत interesting है. It enhances transparency and reduces corruption. Big claim. But how? So this I will show you. So see, by giving access to information, public participation. जैसे if you go to some portals of government of India, it will clearly show you that if you are eligible for a subsidy, where has the subsidy reached? Has it reached your bank account? Has the subsidy been released by a respective department? If not, you can claim, you can go to grievance redressal mechanism, and you can say that why there is a delay in my subsidy. Accountability has increased, transparency has increased. Yes, up to everybody will write. What is that one feature which you add here? It will become an amazing answer. ये देखिए, Viksit Bharat Strategy Room. What is this? It was created recently, a month back. What is this Viksit Bharat Strategy Room? Actually, it has been created in Niti Aayog. In Niti Aayog, what government has done is, government is using artificial intelligence, and it has created a separate mechanism in the Niti Aayog, where through the help of artificial intelligence, all the bureaucrats of this country who are selected through the UPSC civil services and the state services, right? So both the bureaucrats, they are being diverted to this strategy room, whereby the government, through the help of Niti Aayog, is trying to train them how to implement various government schemes and programs. This is absolutely new point of e-governance. So imagine that you are writing old points like GPS, FASTag, etc. Everybody will write it. That won't fetch you again half a marks extra. But if you write this strategy room kind of thing, just picking one point from the newspaper, one line, writing it here, improves the appearance of your answer by almost 20 to 30%. So that is why you have to write this point here. ये देख लो, this point we have highlighted. Again, उसके बाद देखते हैं. Since we already wrote a big point, second one, third point को थोड़ा small, because we have to manage and balance the number of words. Since we had an extra point here, current affairs, we added. Now, we won't stuff it with current affairs. I have 5 more points which I can write here, but I won't, because I have to stick to the word limit also. So overuse of current affairs is bad. Just like, putting too much of icing on the cake, where cake is gayab. The base is not there, only icing is there. Very dangerous, right? That's why we are a diabetic country. Inadequacies affecting e-governance. अब देखो ये कैसे लिखा है. See how to write this. इसको पढ़ते हैं. Let us see if it is something unique in terms of its appeal. Digital divide is observed in internet penetration in India. So we have just written one line that why e-governance cannot be used everywhere in India because of digital divide. And we have explained what is digital divide in terms of internet penetration. Ab dekho, if you convert this into literature, it will require 7 to 8 sentences. But writing it like this, ye dekhiye, how do we present it in a smart way? Rural area, 24%. It's around 21 to 24. And then urban area, 66, access to internet. Done. So problem solved. Information passed on to the examiner in a very neat manner. How to use space? Female 46%, male 54%. Use of internet. So there is gender bias also. Now third is, look at some states. Bihar 30%, Goa 70%. Which means there is interstate differences in penetration of internet also. We are writing just one line, and then we are writing data like this. Use of space and application of current affairs. That what are we writing? Interstate variation in internet use. Now, as I was telling you, this is where current affairs comes. Imagine not writing this. How shallow the answer will look. Because we'll just say there is digital divide, full stop, done. What type of digital divide? So that is why current affairs has to be. Ab dekhte next point, see. I'll just show you 3-4 points and some interesting ones. Ye dekhiye. So digital public infrastructure. This was asked in UPSC last year, mains. What is digital public infrastructure? So digital public infrastructure in rural area is low as compared to urban India. And then we have given the data. Are you noticing something? When you are preparing for mains, if you prepare digital India as a theme, and you try to find out that which part of India, like male, female, men, women, rural, urban, what is the internet penetration, what is the use of mobile phone penetration, plus what is the use of digital payment mechanism in rural and urban India. If you can remember this 6 data, so male, female, rural, urban, and digital payment in rural and urban, just 6 numbers, you can use it in GS paper 2, GS paper 3, you can use it in essay if required, which means you do not have to mug up infinite data. Limited set of data, you just need to use it at the right time. Jaise ye, this part. Now let us look at this. Ye dekhiye. Privacy or data breach. Abhi India mein we are saying that e-governance should be promoted. Agreed. On one hand, we are promoting e-governance through various digital India programs. On the other hand, India has been ranked 5th in the world in terms of data breach. Earlier, our rank was 7th. Now we have become the 5th most vulnerable country in terms of data breach. This is a challenge. So instead of writing a point which is very mundane, that in India there is a threat to data security, which is data security, right? So, and what is our rank? What is the vulnerability? यहाँ पे current affairs का role becomes important. The next is language barrier. यहाँ पे ज़्यादा you can't write. The next point is digital rights and regulatory mechanisms. Can I tell you one extra point? This is very interesting about India. What we do in India is that we launch a program first, we launch a policy and a mechanism first, and then it takes us 10 years, almost a decade, to come up with a regulatory mechanism and a regulator to control that zone or area. I'll give an example. Like, for example, we had an e-commerce policy in India starting from 2000, let's say 16. 2016, we promoted a lot of e-commerce. 2017, we promoted. 2015 also we promoted. But do you know when did we get the first definition of e-commerce? What is it? So we were promoting e-commerce and saying that FDI through e-commerce should come. This US company which is promoting e-commerce should come to India. And there was no definition of e-commerce. In the name of e-commerce, many offline, businesses came to India. And when government of India said, hey, you are not e-commerce, why are you taking advantage of e-commerce? They said, what is your definition? And India said, oh, we don't have definition. Right? So without a definition, we created e-commerce policy. So that is the reason that we have written this point. In e-governance, this point becomes, this is a one-line point, but a very powerful point. Regulatory mechanisms, laws are very important. So what did you see in the answer? Why did you give very good marks to the answer? For its neatness, plus majority of the good marks that you gave was because of the current affairs part. Ab dekho yahan pe, ye dekhiye. Look at the conclusion part. What do you see? This is where the current affairs comes into action. You read it, right? Did you see almost like half a dozen, more than half a dozen schemes mentioned there? Yes. So, for example, when you are preparing for mains, this is my funda. This is how I would try to cover, current affairs for mains. So, for example, today is the theme of, let's say, governance. So, related to governance, I will divide governance in various areas like health, skill development, poverty reduction, inequality, these type of governance, like internet connectivity. So various type of themes, I will divide governance into various themes. And for every theme, I'll list down all the schemes. Then I'll prepare 2 lines on every scheme. This is not prelims, this is mains. 2 lines good enough. I'll prepare 2 lines on every scheme. So there are roughly 12 to 13 schemes for governance, important ones. I'll prepare 2 lines, 24 lines, I'll put it in my mind. And whenever this question is asked in GS paper 2, I'll write that. If it is asked in GS paper 3, I will just make a few minor literature changes and write it there also. In interview, I'll use the same. You just need to prepare everything once in a thematic manner. That's it. And if I'm reading the newspaper, I get one more scheme, I'll add it under health. As simple as that. Which means we just need these type of handouts where the handout will say health, 20 schemes. Out of 20, 10 has to be used in mains. Rest, ignore. This is how we have to refine and find out which part of the government schemes, etc., has to be put here. Ab dekho yahan pe itne sare schemes I have mentioned. Which ones to use for UPSC? I'll tell you. In this, I have mentioned at least half a dozen. Yahan se pick 3. This will shorten it. And then pick this. Because this is future suggestion. So 1 line from here, 3 lines from here. 4 lines, answer will be over. Because conclusion has to be written in 20 words to 25 words. And in every line, you are writing 6 to 7 words. So in 4 to 5 lines, we have to wrap up the conclusion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 or 2 lines here. Done. If I know 7 schemes, only then I can write 3. So that is the reason that you gave good marks, because in everything we have used current affairs. Ye theek tha? Did you understand where to use, how to use? Ek aur kare. Let's do it once more. But it will be slightly different. See this question, please. Oh. So I have got, I think, 3-4 questions. But don't look at the second answer, because the second answer, or look at only those pages which I ask you to look at. It will make the exercise more interesting and more learning oriented. आप पहले देख लोगे, then you won't be able to find out the right things. ये देखिए. So for example, this is the next question. Let's read it. This is page number 11. So this is the question. इसको पढ़ते हैं. It says that development and welfare schemes. This is GS paper 2, last year's mains question. Okay. So development and welfare schemes for vulnerable by its nature are discriminatory in approach. Do you agree? Give reasons for your answer. The moment UPSC asks you a question, to my online students, are you there with me in the PDF? If UPSC asks you a question, do you agree? Never answer. Similarly, in life, if somebody asks you, say yes, don't say. You will be in trouble. If you say yes or no, you're gone. Don't answer those questions. Just a network problem. यहाँ पे देखो. So development and welfare schemes for vulnerable by its nature are discriminatory. ये कह रहा है. This is the diagram for the question. The question says that there are various schemes which the government has created. Now these schemes lead to upliftment of the vulnerable. So the vulnerable would become happy. So let's say I belong to a vulnerable section of the society. So let's say that I have not got access to school since my childhood. Now government has come and said that I will give you good school. I'll be very happy. Now, why would somebody be sad? Because government of India then says, I have only 10 rupees to spend on school. So 9 rupees is spent here. Now only 1 rupees will be spent here. So see, whatever you do in life, somebody will always be unhappy. Right? We all are villain in somebody's story. Or to guarantee. So come on, we abuse God also. Right? We leave nobody. So we are all villains in somebody's story. I tell you this. So don't focus on the story. Right? So यहाँ पे क्या है? What is the story? The story is that if you launch schemes for upliftment of the vulnerable, they are definitely going to be happy, and somebody is unhappy. Now UPSC is asking you a question: is it true that whenever we launch schemes for the upliftment of vulnerable, it leads to discrimination in the society because only they will benefit and those people who are not vulnerable will not benefit? So is it true that discrimination is happening like this? And UPSC says, justify, give arguments. So how to answer such questions? You break down the question into various parts. Everybody tells us that, but kaise? Exactly like this. So the first part of the answer, you have to talk about this, that government schemes leads to upliftment of the vulnerable, and how does it lead to discrimination? This you have to say. In the second part of the answer, you have to say that necessarily, just because some people are unhappy, why is this not bad? Yes, some people are unhappy, but is it really bad that we are helping somebody? No. And in the third part of the answer, you have to argue, excess help might be dangerous. Under helping somebody, over helping somebody might be dangerous. I don't require calcium. And if somebody gives me calcium tablets, what will it lead to? It will lead to kidney stones. Sludges in the kidney and the gallbladder, problem will happen. So excess of anything could be bad. Yahi hai this question. So let us look at the structure of the answer. Isko padhte hain, and where current affairs comes in the picture. Ye dekhiye. See, I have kept it blank for you. Isko saath mein karenge. We'll write it together. Question. So this question says, guys, take out your pen. You'll have to write. Okay. So it says development and welfare schemes for vulnerable by its nature are discriminatory. Now, do you agree or not agree, etc.? You have to write an introduction. Ab dekho, there are 2-3 ways in which you can write an introduction. Kaise? Why? First is the normal way of writing introduction, that welfare schemes are important. Why? Ek do line likh dijiye, that India contains a lot of vulnerable section. Name them and tell that is why it is important. But then in the next part of the answer, you are going to write exactly this. Then how will you write the same thing in the introduction? Right, so somebody tells, introduce yourself. I'll say, okay, my name is this. And then somebody says, tell me something more about yourself. Again, I'll say, my name is this. It's absurd. Which means that in an introduction, if you want to write a powerful introduction, sometimes, as per the demand of the question, it has to be something different. Kaise? So one standard way which I can tell you, it will help you in the exam, is if you remember some definition by WHO, UN, like IMF, World Bank, or somebody who is a scholar in that field. So all those things, if you can remember or recall a definition given by them, 1 or 2 lines given by them, in these type of questions, it will help you. Because these are very controversial type of questions. If you take a side, you are bound to be doomed. So in these kind of questions, take the help of somebody. वो कहते हैं ना, don't fire the gun by keeping it in your hand. Put it on somebody's shoulder. और कुछ नहीं मिल रहा है तो लिख दो Dr. Rajan. I mean, no, don't do that. I was kidding. Don't take it seriously. So what will we write? We take the help of some agency. They say, I can tell you the name of an agency. So one of your friend has said that, no. One of your friend has started by saying that excess of everything is harmful. Don't write this. This is value judgment based statement. आप क्या लिखोगे? According to, either take UN or WHO or somebody who has defined vulnerability, right? So you can say that according to World Health Organization, what is vulnerability? Vulnerability means that section or a group which is prone to risk and they cannot defend themselves the way others can. Then you become vulnerable. So when do you become vulnerable? You become vulnerable when you are prone to risk, number one. But just because you are prone to risk, you are not vulnerable. You are vulnerable when you are prone to risk and you cannot defend yourself. Both the things have to be there. And who said this? WHO. So you can say that as per WHO, vulnerability means lack of power to defense when you are at risk. Full stop. Then you can say that as per Indian Constitution, DPSP, remember? Fundamental rights. So if you combine DPSP and fundamental rights, you will see there are so many provisions which have been given in the Constitution to protect the vulnerables and empower them. This is how you can write. And if you mention one or two articles, let's say from fundamental rights or DPSP, I mean, it will be icing on the cake. So that is how you can start. You select how you want to start. There are 2-3 ways. If I were you, I would start with the WHO definition or definition given in the Constitution or by some Supreme Court judgment. I will start with that. Okay? That's the first thing I'll do. Why? Because this is GS paper 2. So I will not try to emphasize other subjects. I'll try to emphasize GS paper 2, governance part, polity part, law part. This is the first part. 20 words, definition done. तो आप लिख लो. As per WHO, if you want to write, you can write it. It will make your answer look very good. As per WHO, vulnerability implies, yes, I'm correct. Vulnerability implies that a particular group is prone to risk. A particular group is prone to risk and cannot defend itself. And cannot defend itself. Okay, fine, full stop. That's it. The definition, actual definition was very complex, but we have a limitation of words, so we have to control emotions. Okay? So 20 words, 25 words, 21 words, problem solved. Ab dekho next part. Look at this because it's a big question. See? किसका? सही कह रहे हो. But that comes in the body of the answer, not the introduction. इसलिए क्योंकि मैंने आपको I gave you a formula today. Let me remind you the formula again. It will help you. Good that you asked because these are the things that you should clarify in the class. It will really help you. ये देखो, 2 marks, which means for 2 marks, we should avoid a very big kind of example. अगर छोटा example है, you can give some quotation. I can give you one example. According to Nobel laureate Dr. Abhijit Banerjee, he has said exactly the same point before he won the Nobel Prize. He won the Nobel Prize, right? And Dr. Abhijit Banerjee, the economist, he won the Nobel Prize, and Dr. Esther Duflo, his wife, they have done extensive research in healthcare in India and developing countries. And they have made the same point that you have said. So they have said that when a poor person goes to Indian hospitals, either it is public or private, the waiting time that they have to undergo is almost 2.5 times more than the waiting time that a person who goes from a well-to-do family. Through contacts, through other means, etc., you get a hospital bed faster if you are from a well-to-do family. Go to the emergency section of any hospital, OPD, you will see what I'm saying. And this is exactly what Dr. Esther Duflo and Dr. Abhijit Banerjee said. वो quotation you can write, but not the example, because वो word का limit है ना. So this is 2 marks. So you can write that we observe various types of vulnerabilities like health, etc., as echoed by Dr. Abhijit Banerjee, the Nobel laureate, full stop. So this is one. Okay, come back, please. So, ये देखिए. Now look at the second section. यहाँ पे देखिए, I have kept some blanks. If you read this part, ये देखिए क्या लिखा है. It says that development and welfare schemes. See what we have done here. We have used an abbreviation because after this we'll only use abbreviations. So in our answer, you need to write the full form once. Once you write the full form and you write abbreviations like D and WS, now you can use it forever. In the entire question paper, you can use it. So D and WS, development and welfare schemes for vulnerable as discriminatory. मतलब, does it really lead to discrimination? Yes, it does. So let us see how. पहला देखिए. Targeted. They target vulnerable section and exclude others. So for example, I can give you an example. Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Under Antyodaya Anna Yojana, currently it is meant for poorest of the poor. So currently you are getting 35 kg of food grains, right? But others are getting only 30 kg. Some are not getting any food grain. So those who are getting less, एक example देता हूँ. Suppose according to Gram Sabha or Gram Panchayat, they identify that I am poorest of the poor, and I am able to get a certificate from them. Or I go to district collector and I prove through my income, assets, etc., that I am poorest of the poor. Now what will happen is, the district collector or the Gram Sabha or the Gram Panchayat, they will say you are poorest of the poor because your income is ABC. Let's say that my yearly income is 50,000 rupees. And they say that 50,000 is the cutoff that we have kept in our state, we'll help you. We'll declare you as this. But suppose somebody's income is 50,001 rupee. According to the cutoff, you are gone. Right? You understand the cutoffs, huh? Right? 0.1 out. So those people who are unable to fit here, not because they are rich or something like that, they are also in the same category, almost same category. But when the assessment was done, maybe they were just above the line, but they are not able to get these benefits. They will complain. They will say, what about me? So yes, there will always be a complaint. So they call it discrimination. Some experts say that this is discriminatory. Achha, what is the method of removing discrimination? One of the methods of removing discrimination is universalization. Universal health care, Universal Food Program, National Food Security Act. The number of poor people in this country, 15 crore. Number of people covered under National Food Security Act, 83 crores. Why? Just to remove this problem. Right? So they say that if you remove me from here, where will I go? So over a period of time, to cater to this discrimination, what has the government started in India? Since quite a few years, they have started to make the programs more universal in approach. That is why the debate of universal basic income came, to remove this problem. Chalo aage dekhte hain. Because the question is not asking us to write more on this, so we are just writing this point. Ab dekho second point, affirmative. Acha, what is missing here? Kuch to missing hai. Example. If you just write this and you are not even writing one or two example, in fact, rather than getting marks, your marks will be penalized. They will say, but why didn't you write what you are saying? You won't get good marks in the exam. Despite the fact that this point is robust, absolutely solid, but it looks like something, really missing from here. The icing is missing. So that is why you have to write one example. Abhi dikhaunga main aapko. I'll show the example. Next one, see, affirmative policies. Aapko to pata hai what is affirmative policy? For example, reservation is given. Why? Because somebody historically suffered, so we are giving reservation to bring them back to that level where rest of the society is. But somebody will always complain. Somebody will say that, okay, but you said that you will give reservation for 10 years. When will that end? Because suppose some family has really got uplifted, the creamy layer concept. What about them? This question will always come. So you have to write that point. You don't have to take a side. You have to write the views. Hamesha yaad rakhna. At this level, you cannot take sides. Why? Because you don't know all the dimensions. And even if you know, how can you justify every dimension in 150 words or 250 words? So please don't even attempt to take sides. Please mention the dimensions. Leave it at a balanced level. Show both the sides. Show the mirror and say, this is for and this is the concern. Full stop. Now, next point, but here, examples have to be given. Next one, see, it says non-universal. This is a problem, which I was telling you, that, for example, the Antyodaya Anna Yojana. Usse bhi better, I have one example. Have you heard of this scheme called as UDAN, under which skill development is being done in the northeast of India, in the Jammu and Kashmir region? For Jammu and Kashmir youth, UDAN scheme was launched because we said that for too long, we have not paid attention to the youth of Jammu and Kashmir, J&K. Northeast of India will say, what about us? Do we have UDAN 2 for northeast of India? No, we don't have it. What about for hilly regions? Do we have UDAN 3? No. So there will be a complaint that if Jammu and Kashmir is important, so is northeast. So are the hilly areas of Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh, etc. Why is it not mentioned? So that is why you have to give example that, okay, non-universal approach is called discriminatory, which means if you only give some kind of training to a specific geographical section, the other geographical section who are also vulnerable, they will complain. Coastal areas, the kids of the fishermen, do we have a separate program for them? No, they are also vulnerable, right? So that is why this is a bigger problem. The fourth number problem is error of exclusion, and fifth is error of inclusion. What is this? whenever you create a program, suppose that you are trying to give some kind of food grain to the poor. What is the meaning of error of exclusion? A person who is genuinely poor, you remove that person. I'll give an example. I read a case study related to it, and that you can mention here. So what happened is, in one of the very good states of India, so in Tamil Nadu, so there was a district collector. Recently, I read a case study about it. So some people came to him and they said that we want the benefit of this program. So the district collector said that, are you included by definition? They said, we don't understand this because we are not educated that much that we understand all the intricacies. So you please interpret and help us. So, and we need the, status of vulnerable section so that we can avail this particular benefit. So what did the district collector do? The district collector examined and realized that this is a border case. If I say yes and tomorrow I am caught, so then everybody will say that, why did you say that this person is vulnerable? When the income level and the asset is just on the borderline, that person could be called vulnerable this year, and next year maybe he's not vulnerable or she's not vulnerable. So in borderline kind of cases, the bureaucrats, the Gram Panchayats, the Gram Sabha, even they are reluctant to take action because they say, what if we are caught? Some action is taken against us. What if we are called corrupt? What happened to Bichara? That person was excluded. Why? Because somebody was playing very safe. Now, in a different district of India, so what happened is, somebody went to the bureaucrat and said that, hey, can you include my name in the list because I should have received the benefit, but I am not. A bureaucrat said, what can happen? Suppose this person is faking his identity. This person is not very poor, but he's pretending to be poor. If I give the benefit, no, there is a chance that somebody who doesn't deserve is getting it. But at least I'm not removing somebody who is genuinely looking for benefits. Removing somebody who genuinely needs benefit is a greater sin. But giving it to 20 extra people is a problem. Resource of the country will be wasted. But removing somebody who genuinely needs it, that is a greater sin. So what did the bureaucrat do? He said, koi baat nahi, I will include extra people also, it's okay. If some action is taken against me, I'll face it. Which means human bias is involved in implementing the schemes in India. And what do governments have to do? The governments have to minimize the error of exclusion, which means if you genuinely need help and you are excluded, this activity should be minimized. And person who doesn't deserve the benefit and that person is also included, that puts burden on the resources of the country. This error should also be minimized. But which is a bigger error? The first one, this one. Because you are excluding somebody who's genuine. So these kind of discriminations happen in the targeted programs that we are running in this country in terms of social welfare. So these 2 points need to be mentioned. यहाँ पे आपको example देना पड़ेगा. So for example, why do we have direct benefit transfers? Because this error of inclusion and exclusion were too high in this country. So you have to quote a report, committee's report, और यहाँ पे लिख दीजिए, according to RBI. So every 100 rupees that was being given to people for example, Manrega, etc., only 70 rupees were reaching. Remaining part was not reaching. Somebody extra was included, somebody was not. ऐसे करके you have to write some examples. This is where current affairs comes. अगर नहीं लिखोगे, if you don't write examples here, and here, आप सीधा समझ लेना that you are losing 2 marks. At least 2 marks you are losing straight away in the body of the answer, even if your answer is superb, just because you are not writing current affairs. So this is one part. Abhi second part mein let's come. See this. ये देखिए. Desirability. So we have said that yes, ऐसा लगता है, it looks as if the social welfare schemes of India are discriminatory in nature. Some people say it, that you are only giving benefit to Jammu and Kashmir. Some schemes are only meant for Northeast. Some schemes are only meant for poorest of the poor. What about me? These questions are asked. But still we follow those schemes in India. Why? Ab dekho, here you have to justify that why are those schemes important for this country. Ab dekho, before you justify, you cannot just write like a robot. Point number 1, 2, 3. Justification has to come through constitution. Which means you have to write that India is a welfare state. You have to quote DPSP. You have to write that we follow socialist principle. And you have to quote Dr. Ambedkar. You have to quote some personalities who have argued very hard for the vulnerable section of the society. Not just one section, but you have to name the vulnerable section and then say that if we do not have schemes for them, it's not about only one section, but at least 7, 8 sections will be excluded. For example, SCs, STs, women, children, elder citizens, everybody is vulnerable. Divyangs. How can you remove everybody? So you have to take the help of constitution. यहाँ पे बिल्कुल we don't make that mistake to write your own views, because we are not authority. We are the learners of the subject. So as a follower of the constitution, you have to derive your points and write yahan pe context that okay, according to constitutional provisions, this is India is a welfare state, so we have to follow certain principles to maintain the ethos of the constitution, and hence these are the points. So aap pehle what point will you write? Equity. That what are the welfare schemes doing for this country? Promoting equity. Then give example. How is it promoting equity? Example do aapko from the latest interim budget. So in the interim budget, the government has launched a program for housing of the middle class. We had program for PM Awas Yojana, right? Rural housing, urban housing, everything. But for middle class housing, there was no scheme. So government said, chalo, wo leke aate hain, let us bring it, right? So you can write these questions. Social justice. Ab dekh lo. So for example, the tribal areas, the women of the society, unke liye you have to promote social justice. Hence, positive discrimination has to be there. So this example you can mention. Your friend, online friend, mentioned Eklavya schools. Right. So here you can mention that. Ab dekho efficiency, targeted resource allocation is proving efficient outcomes, etc. ये कैसे आप लिख सकते हो? You can write that leakages have reduced after direct benefit transfers, and you have to quote a figure that how much money has the government saved in terms of leakages after the coming of direct benefit transfer. LPG subsidy में भी we have saved a lot, 60,000 crores. वो सब figures you can write here. Inclusive growth में तो it's endless. That the whole idea of inclusive growth in India is designed on the basis of welfare programs. Manrega, your friend is saying. So here you can mention endless data. आपको क्या लग रहा है? That if you don't mention data, if you don't write some reports and some figures, ये देखो जहां I have kept blank spaces. Don't you think data, schemes, facts, reports and committees have to be written? If I don't write it and I give you this answer, will you give me marks? You will not. You will say good effort. And you will say our sympathies are with you. Better luck next time, right? So very popular statement, right? You deserve another chance. ऐसे करके we'll say this. So guys, make sure that you write some current affairs in this. अब देखो conclusion में क्या लिखा है? ये आपके लिए I have designed it. पढ़िए इसको. See if it makes sense to you. I'll come to you. Conclusion पढ़िए एक बार. Read the conclusion. It says development and welfare schemes, they improve targeting, and when targeting is good, जैसे I want to target northeast of India and help them. I want to target MSMEs. So what will happen? Efficiency will improve. E-governance. So why has government of India promoted e-governance? To improve targeting. What are we doing through e-governance? We are improving targeting. We are making the bureaucrats of this country more accountable. So that is why यहाँ पे we are saying that if you are launching welfare schemes, make sure targeting is good and make sure that welfare schemes are integrated in the e-governance programs. That is what we are, and then we are saying if you integrate welfare schemes in e-governance, it will increase access. आपको पता है? Can I give you one fact that government of India is saying that there is 100% electricity penetration in this country? Not correct. There are many areas in rural areas. आपको example देता हूँ. Suppose there is a village, not a village. Let's say there is a district. In that district, there are some villages where electricity is not there. Even then, we will say 100% electrification has happened because that district has got the electricity. So we are saying that if you integrate all these government programs under e-governance, what will happen is access will improve, transparency will improve. Because under e-governance, we will exactly know where the file is stuck. And then we are saying it will promote constitutional ethos. Because constitution says, the DPSP says that everybody should get equal opportunity and discrimination should not be perpetuated. तो लिखना पड़ेगा. If you write this, automatically your answer will become very strong. And the UPSC evaluator who is trying to see if you have mentioned your own points will see that, okay, this kid is very smart. This kid is writing his or her own points, but using constitution. So because if you just write blatantly that I think this should happen, but I as in which authority? Right. So always take help of constitution, make your point. अब आप बताओ. अच्छा, Dr. Amartya Sen's model which you are quoting called as capability to function approach. Absolutely. वो लिख सकते हो. तो पता है कहाँ पे? Where do you fit it? I'll show you. So guys, your friend is saying that ध्यान से देखिए, he made a good point. So he's saying that development and welfare schemes for vulnerable are required. He says it is required because Dr. Amartya Sen has given a theory called as capacity to function approach. The name of his theory. उसमें क्या बोलते हैं? He says that if I give you cash, you might end up using the cash, wasting it. It will be over very soon. If I give you a laptop and I don't teach you how to operate the laptop is useless for you. So rather than only focusing on the end result, we should focus on capacity building so that end result will automatically happen. If you teach me how to operate a laptop, maybe I'll earn my livelihood, I'll buy my own laptop. So your friend is saying that if these things are being done in India, for example, government is launching a program for skill development of the tribal students. How is it bad? It's good because it improves capacity, and in future they will depend on their own hard work and capacity to earn their livelihood. Then they don't need subsidy. So he's supporting this program in a good way by bringing Dr. Amartya Sen. और वही चीज यहाँ पे लिखा है ना, ये देखिए. Use some committee report, some great personalities, etc. Good point. Capability approach, yes. It is also called as capability to function approach. So ठीक है, did you understand where to use the current affairs in this answer? एक और करेंगे, and उसके बाद I'll do the usual stuff by doing the data analysis that which part of mains asks how many current affairs question. But उसके पहले one more question, which we'll do in the class. ये देखिए, this article I deliberately got for you. ये कब का article है? I think 1 week back. Right, so you have this on page number 14. This I took from a week back's article. Abhi, there is a question which we will do related to it. Huh? This is the question. Read it, please. Have a look at the board. This question I am expecting in UPSC mains this year. So this kind of question. So for example, the question says, पढ़ते हैं इसको. The question says that India must boost exports to achieve higher economic growth. Look at the word must. So it is saying we must boost export if we want higher economic growth. Do you agree? Again, your opinion. And you understand that you can't write your opinion. You have to back it by some facts, some figures, some theory. You can't write just blatantly. Do you agree? Dekhte hain. Then it says suggest some measures to boost our export. How many parts are there in the question? These parts. Dekhiye kaise. First part says that do you believe that exports are must to increase GDP? That's the first part. The second part says that first part, do you agree? Second part says suggest some measures to increase exports so that our GDP will increase. Now, answer to this question would require some use of static concepts also. Kaise dekhiye, macroeconomics. So it says, is export must for GDP? Answer is ये देखिए. You know this from macroeconomics. Basic, NCERT. This you have to write in the exam as the body of the answer. It says GDP is equal to C plus I, consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus net export. अब देखो, if all these things are improving, GDP will improve. So increase in export is not a must, but there should be increase in export. Because along with increase in export, there are other factors also which are required. For example, I am saying increase export, it is must to improve GDP. By what to export? Industrial products. Where to manufacture the industrial product? Industries. For industries, you need investment by government in infrastructure and skill development. For industries, you need investment by private sector in the companies, industries. Without these two, how will you export? That's the point. Now, you understand, whatever is produced in the economy, you cannot solely export it because export depends on global conditions. If the global conditions are not good and you are producing and you are dreaming that I will export everything, but nobody is the buyer because Russia, Ukraine, etc., everybody is unhappy these days, right? So how will you export? For that, you need domestic consumption. And how does domestic consumption happen? When you also produce for domestic economy and you provide jobs to people. Because jobs will provide purchasing power. That is what Dr. Raghuram Rajan says, which means we need consumption, investment, government investment, and net export. So export is not must, but export should be there. So in this answer, we will say that, यहाँ पे देखिए, this is how you have to break down this answer. This is a technical question. So we have to write that export should be there. along with other factors to increase export, to increase GDP. जैसे यहाँ पे consumption, investment and government expenditure, and this is net export. All these things are required. This should be the body one of the answer. So you have written the part. Do you agree? Yes, partly we agree, and partly other things are also required. This should be in the first body, which is a static concept. Now let's come to current affairs. So it says, suggest some measures to boost our export. This is the second body of the answer. So see guys, body 1, we will write वही C plus I plus G plus NX. Body 2, here we have to write what are the steps that we need to take to promote export. Imagine this, that if you are writing to promote export, India should promote infrastructure, government should make good policies. What will you write after this? Promote investment by putting down interest rate. One of the ways. What else will you write? FTAs. Urbanization. What else? Are you realizing that after 4-5 points we won't have much to write? समझ रहे हो आप? That's a problem. Why? Because this is not a static part. This question has been very cleverly designed, where the first part tests your macroeconomics and the second part tests your current affairs and tests whether you are able to use current affairs to justify your first part. In the first part, what did we say? Improve consumption, improve investment, improve government expenditure, improve export. ये सब चीजें we said. Second part is saying, how will you do all these things? How will you promote export? Just picking export and saying, how will you do it? इसके लिए, what we will do is, मैं बताता हूँ आपको what is the best way to do it, because देखो for mains we don't have much time. अभी तो we have limited number of days for mains because the prelims was extended, so we'll pay the price in the mains. So what is the best method to prepare for themes? मैं दिखाता हूँ आपको. Read this point, read this article which I have attached. This I'm going to cover in the current affairs classes. ये देखिए, a blueprint for boosting export. So for example, imagine that I give you a 2-page write-up on the 10 or 12 methods which should be used by the government of India to promote export. And where do I get all the methods? Niti Aayog report. Niti Aayog has summarized everything which has happened in last 1 year, and Niti Aayog has said that these are the things which India needs to do a little more. And suppose I have access to that report, I am giving you 12 points from there. If UPSC asks this question in 150 words, write 6 points. If UPSC asks the question in 250 words, आप लिख दो 8 points. Now, this article that you see, which came in the newspaper, it's a summary of that Niti Aayog report. एक काम करते हैं. Let us do this exercise in the class. So please read the introduction. Deliberately I brought this because this introduction can be used in this question's introduction also. It's a ready-made introduction. इसको पढ़िए. Let's read it. चलिए साथ में करते हैं. Let's read it, kids. To my online students also. I'm going to read it. हाँ, आप बताना can you use it or not. It says that India's foreign trade valued at 1.63 trillion in 2023-24 constituted 41% of GDP, underscoring its vital role in national economy and job creation. The sector faces significant internal and external challenges. देखो ये सब लिखा है. Can you use this in answer to this question? I don't think so. Directly we cannot, because the question says export is required for GDP. आप क्या लिखोगे? What answer will you write? मैं दिखाता हूँ. So I think we can write something like this. This we cannot directly write. This we can write, because the question says that export is must for GDP. So first we should define GDP, just like we defined vulnerability. So we should say that GDP is the final value of goods and services, and other than export, there are multiple factors which affect a country's GDP. Full stop. So that is your introduction. India is striving to achieve $5 trillion status by 2025. So let us see which factors can impact India's GDP. So this has to be your introduction. Absolutely crisp, to the point, and definition-based introduction. You cannot be fancy in this. इसमें नहीं कर सकते. and then you can write वही body of the answer. This equation which I gave you, this you can write in the body of the answer. So introduction में what did you write? You wrote what is GDP, simple definition, and you said that GDP has various components and various factors impact GDP, including export. And India is striving to get $5 trillion data by 2025. Let us see how we can achieve this with the help of exports. And then you can write in this body that C plus I plus G, other factors are also required. Or body 2 में आप लिखोगे that how exports can help. ये देखो what I have done for you. ये आर्टिकल पढ़ते हैं. Let us read the first point of the article. First point क्या लिखा है? What is the first point? So the first point says blueprint for export. Point number 1, revive labor intensive export. Just read this point. Just one point we'll do in the class and I'll train you how to use current affairs. पढ़िए उसको paragraph. And if you are finding it difficult to read, यहाँ से पढ़ लेते हैं. यहाँ भी same. Can you manage to read it? The first paragraph? Good. Revive labor intensive export. Just read it. Read that point, please. To my online student, just one point. Revive labor intensive export. And I will train you in the live class as to how to convert this paragraph into 1 or 2 points to be used in the exam. इसको पढ़िए. You'll see a great point here. Are you observing a problem in the point? India is facing a big problem. So after COVID, what happened? Big companies, they are leaving China. India said, I will attract all the textile, I will attract all the leather related work, etc. Labor intensive industries, India said, we will attract them. Where did all the labor intensive industries go? They went to Vietnam, they went to Bangladesh, they went to Thailand. Right. So India goes to Thailand for different reason. Manufacturing is going to Thailand for different reason. So there is this problem. Right. So India needs to pull up its, acts and policies. ये पढ़ा होगा आपने. Then you would have realized you can't write these big stories in the exam. How to frame the story just in 1 or 2 lines. This is what the smart work is all about. ये पढ़िए. I have done this for you. And I request that when this video is uploaded, you do one thing. You read this entire write-up that I have given. This is newspaper article only. I haven't written it. It's written by somebody else, Mr. Ajay Srivastav. You read it, please, and then try to find a summary of all these points in 1 line or 2 line. Because in UPSC, you can write these points only in 50 to 60 words. You will have to write everything. इसी का ये example I have given. Once you attempt on your own, convert this entire article into 50 word, write-up, then you please tally it with what I have written. And if it matches, then I think you can do other articles easily. If not, learn it. देखो क्या लिखा है first. It says, revive labor-intensive export. What is the point I have written? Despite Make in India and production-linked incentive scheme and MSME, so government is paying a lot of attention to MSMEs. We have Make in India, PLI, MSMEs. Despite these 3 bombastic schemes in India, the labor-intensive export related to textile, leather, etc. in 2023 declined. It captures everything. And then we are saying a dedicated plan is required. First point covered. If you write more than this, UPSC is not interested. And frankly, the word limit is such that you can't write more than this. So you have to be very disciplined. Hai na? Abbreviations you cannot write, but this is informal thing that I have written. Other answers where I gave you formal writing, there I have used the full form. Informal points I am giving you. So देखो second point, diversify service export. आपको पता है that 75% of our service, you know that India exports services. Which services? Financial services, administrative services? No. 75% of our export is IT or software. Which means that in other services like tourism, like finance, like consultancy, we lack. And we stand nowhere in the world. Which means diversification is important. Otherwise, we will become irrelevant. Right? So see how very briefly we can write just in 1 line, a very big paragraph from here can be converted into 1 line of current affairs. और आप एक चीज देख रहे हो, in every point some current affairs point or data is being written. If you just write diversify service, which service? Why? UPSC wants to know. So similarly, third point. So isko what you need to do, I told you, do one homework. So you have this article. I have given you one answer sheet attached to it. some space is there, घर पे practice कीजिए. You take out this article, convert each of the paragraphs into one point, and then you match these points. When you open the video, आपको ये सब दिखेगा. You'll see. Let me open all this at one go. So this should be the body of the answer. The second body. First body should be macro. Second body should be this. And what should be the conclusion? Suggest some measures to boost our export. अभी देखिए, the conclusion has to be written in a slightly smart manner. See, here comes your current affairs. ये देखो क्या लिखा है. What is mentioned? So, all the schemes of government of India, right? All the schemes which government has tried to bring to promote export. I have made a list of all that. Now, in UPSC, you cannot write all this. But when you prepare for mains, you have to prepare all these schemes in one line, which is not a very big task. In mains, if they ask you a question that mention some of the schemes related to taxation to promote export, इसमें से 2 schemes will be written. If they ask you a question that mention some schemes which are related to paperwork, making the paperwork easy, 2 points from here. That's it. And if they ask you open-ended question, mention some of the schemes to promote export. Write any 4 of these, whatever comes to your mind in the exam. But we will prepare these 7, 8. Because if you prepare 7, you will remember 4. And these are not very big. 2 lines will prepare in the class. So this is where the current affairs notes comes handy. So for example, there is one topic for UPSC mains called as trade. In trade, what do you do in current affairs? In trade, you do 2-3 things in current affairs. 1, how to promote export, which are the schemes. How to reduce import, which are the schemes. Just prepare 7 schemes on both of them. Your topic will be complete. This is where the current affairs handout and notes will become handy. ठीक है? So this is what I wanted to show you. अब ये सब तो आप जानते ही हो. So nothing to write because this I have already given you. ये देखो, this is the basic for those who are just starting to prepare for UPSC. This is the general syllabus of UPSC. But कुछ करा है मैंने. I have done something in the syllabus. ये देखिए, this part, and this I wanted to do towards the end only. So how to do each of these parts and what is the role of current affairs in GS paper 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I have done is I have given this in the form of the kit to you. ये देखो, these yellow marked, yellow highlighted parts are exactly the parts in the syllabus of GS paper 1 where current affairs needs to be integrated. Example. Let me give an example. So let's read it. So see, your GS paper 1 has the syllabus called as culture, Indian history, world history, society, and geography. So look at the society part. In society, you have these 3 points. Ye dekho, population and issues related to it. In prelims also, they ask questions this time. So populations like demographic, dividend, etc. Population and issues related to it. Second is poverty, development related issues like urbanization, etc. है ना? Third part is globalization and its effect. If UPSC asks you a question on these 3 points from GS paper 1, you have to give current affairs as a supporting argument. Otherwise, the icing from the cake will be missing and you will not get good marks. Despite the fact that your answer will be awesome just because of current affairs, 2 marks gone. So here you need to use current affairs. Achha, sources kya? What are the sources? Simple. As you can see that it has a good connection with economics. So economic survey, budget, Niti Aayog report, and any newspaper or magazine. But for mains, you don't have much time. So please use a compilation, value-added material. So I was giving you an example some time back that, for example, for your current affairs mains program, I have created a handout for all the schemes related to poverty, one handout. For all the schemes related to export promotion, another handout. Is type ke handouts you require. That is called as mains value addition or value added material. You can use any of the mains value added material because I believe that hardly there is a difference of 10 to 20% in the material. Every material is good. So whatever you have got in your hand, use it, right? And don't discriminate against a material. Whatever material you have, whether it's your own material or somebody else, it's fine. Just cross-check it if all the points are covered. ठीक है? So I think these 3 sources are good enough for this yellow part in GS paper 1. अब देखो एक चीज. This is the number of questions asked from various parts across years. This data analysis I was doing some time back. I'll tell you about the communalism part, etc. अभी बताएंगे. ये देखिए. So this is not given in your handout. इसका छोटू version is given. See, this is given in your kit. This part is given in your kit. which is easy to understand. So I have converted that into this table. देखो general studies, paper 1, Indian history on an average out of 20 questions from Indian history, average 4. It can become 5 also in future. This is average. Averages are not necessarily 2 all the time. Change हो सकता है. So average 4 question, art and culture 2, post independence 1. It can also become 2. World history 1. Sometimes it's 0. Sometimes it's 1. Sometimes it's 2. And then you have geography 7. ये क्या है? Geography के नीचे 2 highlighted, society 5 questions, 3 are highlighted, means yes, current affairs, which means that if 5 questions are asked, at least 3 questions require you to use current affairs. And in geography, if they're asking 7 questions, at least 2 require you to use current affairs, which means that if 20 questions are asked, at least 5 questions are such in GS paper 1 where you have to use current affairs, which means 25% of your answers here or the questions that they're asking would require current affairs. अब मैं आपको बताता हूँ why it is easy to get very good marks here. अब देखो, how will my mind work if I'm writing notes for mains? मैं क्या करूँगा? What will I do? I'll just go back in all these questions. I have a list of questions. I'll see which themes are they asking. Not questions, themes. Poverty, urbanization, rural-urban divide, these kind of things. Huh? So what will I do? I'll prepare 1 pager or 2 pages on all these themes. And whenever a faculty teaches me something extra, usme I'll include a point. And if I don't have a theme because of lack of time, I'll go to market, I'll go to somebody, and I'll buy a value-added material to save my time. Being a student, my first priority should be save your time. Uske liye whatever it requires, do it. Right. So what will I do? I'll identify the themes where current affairs is being asked. Uske upar list of schemes and reports and committees ka name I will create. Hardly 4 pages for GS paper 1 and done. Now I'll come to GS paper 2. Ye dekho, GS paper 2. So for GS paper 2, I think I have given you this. ये दिया है आपको. So for GS paper 2, wherever I have marked this yellow part, that is your current affairs part in GS paper 2. IR में तो big part is current affairs. These are some of the sources which I think one should have handy. Example देता हूँ आपको. So suppose you have less time to prepare for mains. I'll give you 2 answers today. One, if you have less time to prepare for mains, and second, if you want to write answers, even if you are appearing next year in UPSC, but you want to start answer writing right away. How do you do that? इसके लिए what you need to do is, सबसे पहले, the first thing for GS paper 2 is, get hold of the recent judgment compilation of Supreme Court. It will really help you to make strong points and arguments in your answer. ये compilations are available easily on the net, in the market, you can easily find it. अब खुद बैठ के, don't try to reinvent the wheel, not required. If you can get it, it will help you to save time. Please save time. For a student, it's very important. So you please get hold of this compilation. It is available. अच्छा, उसके बाद governance का some compilations are available. You can get that. So these 2 compilations will save you at least 10-15 days of unnecessary work. And if a faculty in the class gives you 1 extra point, add it, please. Simple, add it. अच्छा देखो, third, schemes. From where do you bring schemes for GS paper 2? Simple, economic survey, budget. And there is a scheme book by Vajiram, the updated one which has been released. It's a really good one. So you please write it. And that book you can refer, the scheme book. It's a very detailed one, very nicely given. Then committee reports and Niti Aayog reports and papers are there. Just today I told you Niti Aayog's recent initiative for e-governance. So these are some of the things that you have to borrow from Niti Aayog. आपको पता है what is the name of that? Short name, Niti Aayog for states. There is a new index which Niti Aayog has released. It is called Niti Aayog for states. And Niti Aayog is using it for e-governance. So committee report and Niti Aayog, this will really help you to answer those current affairs wala part. Acha, for IR, mains compilation le lijiye, and regular notes you already have from your GS classes, and you please get a compilation. Iske liye, you see, I can give you name of 2-3 books which I also love to read, but why? I mean, why will you do that? You need to save your time. So isliye better to get a compilation. Acha, ARC reports are important. Not just for GS paper 2, but also for GS paper 3, disaster management, GS paper 4 also. So ARC report is important. So you please keep this in mind. आपने देखा होगा, you would have noticed here that I am relying more on the compiled or value addition wala materials. Why? To save time. It's very easy for a faculty to come here in front of you and start giving you ideal name of books. Why? Because we don't have to read it, you'll have to read it. Right? So once I put myself on your side, then I realize it's not easy. I don't have time. You hardly get time to eat. आपके पास वो भी टाइम, sometimes you don't have that time, sometimes you are unable to have sleepless nights for positive reasons, of course. So right, so when you don't have time for these things, sometimes you don't meet your parents because you are busy in studying, you don't take calls from people who are very close to you. उस टाइम पे if a person like me comes in front of you and tells you the name of 5 classic books of IR, 5 classic books of governance, I mean that's the greatest disservice that we can do for you. We should not do that, because UPSC is not about reading classic books in this stage of your life. You should not do that. If you have time, कर लीजिए, but I don't think you have time because coverage is so huge. आप क्या करोगे? You please get these compilations, and I'm just adding one point from my side. Make it rich with the help of your faculties, with the help of your own self study, etc. इसको rich बनाइए, but don't try to reinvent anything. हाँ, save your time. तो देखो GS2 का summary I have created. ये देखिए, this is GS2 का absolute details, but you should, ये yellow part क्या है? Current affairs. But don't get into this micromanagement. इसका better picture is here. ये दिया आपको GS2. अब देखो GS2 पे from polity 9 questions on an average, from governance 3 questions, social justice 4, international relations 4. अच्छा देखो where to use current affairs. So for example, you can see that here out of 9 questions, 1 or 2 questions you can use direct current affairs. बाकी में reference, but one तो एकदम absolutely from current affairs. Governance part at least 2 questions on an average. I have, this is average. Then you have social justice, half of the questions they involve huge amount of current affairs. IR में तो I should not even say. Without current affairs, it is not possible to write good answers of IR, which means that out of 20 questions, roughly 50%, 9 questions, it involves huge amount of current affairs. And how do you know, as a beginner, or if you are planning to write UPSC mains this year, how do you know which current affairs am I talking about? उसके लिए you need to go back to your handout kit, which we have provided you. उसमें देख लीजिए these parts. And when you see this video, I think उसमें yellow would not have come, no? तो आप ऐसे कर लेना. It's dark. हाँ तो फिर ठीक है, you can find highlighted ना. And if it is not, you can watch the video and then you can tick. So these are the parts where you have to add current affairs. It makes our life little easy, isn't it? If you know where to put current affairs. So that's and GS3 कर लेते एक बार. ये देखो, this current affairs. Right. So this is all yellow. Reminds me of that Coldplay. So ये देखो, these are the sources that you need to follow. इसका भी कुछ दिखाऊंगा आपको. I'll show something to you. In GS paper 3, देखो, so many subjects are there. क्या क्या है? In GS paper 3, there is economy, there is agriculture, science and technology, environment and disaster management, and security. Now, what are the sources? Some of the common sources: economic survey and budget. I'll show you how important it is. Second is mains compilation from whatever sources you are trying to get it. And I told you how I will compile it. I will not compile it in the form of a single book. I'll compile it in the form of handout, like export ka handout alag, banking handout for mains different, aise karke. Then you have agriculture. Agriculture mein you cannot use current affairs without integrating static parts. So in agriculture, they will ask you a question, for example, what is the meaning of water use efficiency? Discuss government's step to promote irrigation. Remember, the first part is water use efficiency, static part. Right. So that is why these static plus current affairs, you have to arrange both the notes. Now, second is environment ke liye you get any compilation from anywhere. All compilations I tell you is good, but some static parts have to be integrated, because in GS paper 3, when they ask question, you can clearly see sometimes they will ask you define climate change. अब उसमें there is nothing current about it. You have to write the static definition. Then they will say discuss some of the steps taken by India, Europe, etc., to promote climate change. Steps about climate change. So वो फिर current affairs. Then you, for disaster management, ARC you can use, and compilations, again, value addition material. Don't spend too much time. Use ready-made material for this. Every institute will provide you this, and I'm saying that with full conviction that every material is decent in this. I haven't seen any bad material on this. It's decent for everyone. Then ORF. So if you go online and you go to this portal, you will see so many amazing articles. Sometimes the articles are big, sometimes the article. अच्छा आपको बताऊं, ORF का portal, if you go, it talks about mainly defense and strategies related to what India is doing. So earlier, people used to say that go to ORF portal and read big articles. Abhi kya ho gaya? I have seen some portals, what they do is they pick articles from ORF and they summarize it. So if ORF is writing one article on, let's say, terrorism or India's action at the borders to prevent terrorism or infiltration, A big article is written by a defense analyst on ORF portal. The article is like 5 pages. Now, if you Google really well, you will see that somebody is there, like 2-3 portals are there, who are summarizing that 5-page article in 2 paragraphs. Exactly what you are supposed to do for your UPSC mains. वो सब मिल जाएगा आपको. If you Google hard, you will get it. वैसे भी you know how to Google the right things. So ये भी आप कर ही सकते हो. This is GS paper 3. अच्छा आते हैं GS paper 3 में I have to show you something. ये देखो. GS paper 4 I don't need to show you because the relevant faculties have already covered it. ये देखिए, this is GS paper 3. Economy 6 questions on an average, 4 involve current affairs. Agriculture 3 questions, 2 involve current affairs. Internal security 4, 3 involve current affairs. Disaster management 1 out of 1. Environment 3 out of 3. Science technology, no 4 out of 3. It should be reverse. Oh, कर लेना ठीक. Right. So कर लीजिए कभी. Flip it. So if you see, out of 20 questions, roughly around 17 questions involve current affairs. मतलब 85 questions are from current affairs in GS paper 3. अच्छा कुछ दिखाता हूँ आपको. GS paper 3 का tension, how should you reduce? ये देखो ये question. Read this please. This is from 2023 mains. पढ़िए question पढ़िए. Just read the question casually. ऐसे ही highlights. For example, this is 2022 UPSC mains. Public-private partnership. ठीक है? Railways. Second question last year 2023 ये देखिए. Faster economic growth requires MSME, etc. वही लिखा है ना MSME. So key word here is MSME. अच्छा third question let us see. Unemployment in India is structural in nature. Key word is unemployment. Method to measure unemployment. और देखो नीचे care economy. I just randomly picked all the questions from last year and to last year. ये देखो food processing industry. ठीक है? It gives a lot of pressure. How to prepare from where, which source. चलो एक दो source देखते हैं. Let us look at 1 or 2 sources. It will make our life easy. So फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये देखिए, अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट वाला क्वेश्चन एंड केयर इकोनॉमी वाला क्वेश्चन. इकोनॉमिक सर्वे का कौन सा पेज? 162 पेज. लास्ट ईयर इकोनॉमिक सर्वे दिखाता हूं आपको. सी मेजरमेंट ऑफ वर्क अलोंगसाइड एम्प्लॉयमेंट. नाउ देयर यहां पर देखिए अनपेड डोमेस्टिक वर्क केयर इकोनॉमी, उसके ऊपर होल आर्टिकल वाज मेंशन्ड, व्हिच मींस दैट इवन इफ यू हैवंट डन इट फ्रॉम अ टेक्स्ट बुक, if you would have just read the summary, etc., or watched the economic survey lecture, you would have been able to answer the question. So care economy का question answer was directly given in the survey. How to measure unemployment? ये देखिए, how to measure unemployment. This is page 162, care economy, and measurement of unemployment was given in just one page before that, page 161. From 2 pages of economic survey, 2 GS paper 3 mains question were derived directly. And I deliberately keep this picture just to give you that confidence that if you do this document called as survey and budget, it is highly rewarding. It is in front of you. Abhi aur bhi dikhata hu. So look at this part. UPSC question last year. It says, what is the status of digitization in the Indian economy? Let us look at economic survey, and I'll show you page 366. Last year economic survey, hai na? Page 366. Look at this. That's your answer. Whole story is mentioned in the form of a paragraph. And this was the question, that discuss the status, and it says the story of digital public infrastructure. Same answer. एक और दिखाता हूँ. Let me show you one more. Now see this. This is economic survey 21-22, मतलब last to last. So it says natural farming asked in UPSC. For agriculture, this question was asked. So answer is given along with data, which means that when we do this current affairs for mains, the first 3 classes, I think it will be based on newspaper, etc., based on my experience of last 1 year of newspaper. But at the moment budget and survey is released, I take that almost sort of guarantee that if UPSC will follow this trend, which they normally do, जैसे ये वाला trend देखो, economy and agriculture 9 questions है ना, 9 questions, out of that 6 question, ये देखिए, from economics and agriculture 9 questions are asked. Out of that, roughly 6 questions can be directly answered from economic survey and budget, direct answer, which means that I don't need to read big and bulky material. Just summary of economic survey and budget will help me to answer 6 questions, including economy and agriculture. And baki ke 3 questions are static, like I showed you equation today. The GDP is equal to C plus I plus G plus and X, us type ke questions, which means that this should not give you big headaches. So through this we, अच्छा ये देखो interim budget. Do you remember interim budget का diagram? this year's interim budget, where it said that we are promoting inclusive growth, how India will become a Viksit Bharat, etc. So they can this type of questions are asked in UPSC. Discuss the theme of the budget, so you can answer these questions from this type of summaries given. अब ये resource देख लो last में. This is how I would like to wrap up the arguments. These are the resources, if you ask me, and this is how I will approach it. So, for example, newspaper. If you have been following a monthly magazine of any institute, great. If not, no need to worry about it. So what I will do is, I'm creating compilations of newspaper, monthly magazine, and compilations for mains. Like example, I told you compilation for trade, compilation for employment, compilation for poverty reduction. वो सबको I'm merging into one handout. So if I give you a handout of poverty, that will have newspaper information, that will also have information from monthly magazines, and that will also have value addition from my side, just like your friend here mentioned. When I was discussing, he mentioned something about Amartya Sen, somebody mentioned about urbanization. Wo sab points I will mention from my side in this handout. So pehla handout to I will provide like this. And you, if not, you are not taking a handout from me, you should create this for yourself. It will really help you. By combining these three, create a single handout. Otherwise, it will become chaos. Sabke liye, if you create a separate handout, when will you study? So don't create too many. Just one handout with all the information. Ab ye dekho, ye thoda different hai. This is different. What is this? Economic survey, budget, and data. For this, you should create a separate handout. So for example, when survey is released and budget is released, you should create, let's say, ideally we create a 100-page handout, because economic survey is a 500-600-page document and budget is another 50-60-page document. So let's say around 700-page document, we convert into 80 to 100 pages. This is one handout. Right, and I'm not just talking about GS paper 3. It is about GS 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever you have to use it. और ये तीसरा देखो, ministry annual reports. So what happens is every year, all the ministries, they present a report card that what have we achieved, what we have not achieved, and then you have PIB, Yojana, and Kurukshetra. So what we will do is, and this is what I have already started to do, these two I've already extracted from the ministry portals and I'm putting it in this handout. So we will have only two handouts. If I'm teaching you poverty in the class, so what I'll do is, I'll integrate newspaper, monthly magazine, compilation, and PIB, Yojana, Kurukshetra into handout number 1. और यहाँ पे budget and survey का handout number 2. That's it. No 3. 2 handouts will be there. One, which will be based on theme. उसी को कहते हैं, that is what we call as value addition material or value added material. Material on poverty, material on export, material on agriculture, material on MSP, etc., etc. That is one, and this is a separate. If you can manage these 2 handouts, you can use it across GS 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what I feel. More than this, if you experiment with other sources, it will be a wastage of time. Mat kariye. Don't do that. Fine. So anything that you want to know from your side. आप वो homework करोगे? Will you do that homework? The export वाला homework which I have given you. Try doing it. और वो video से you please see if you can reach very close to those points. Fine. So this was the first. How to revise the compilation? वो तो बहुत easy होगा. उसका example मैं दे देता हूँ आपको. ये देखो. Very simple method to revise. See. ये याद है आपको? We converted that entire newspaper article. ये देखो, big newspaper article into these points. This whole newspaper article is just these points. Easy to revise. So create either a 1-pager or 2-pager for all these articles. And if you use it as a benchmark, you will immediately understand that, अच्छा, इसमें से I have to take only this textile and leather वाला example, nothing else. This is how you should create your revision wala handout, है ना? This will really help you. So economics module, that I will start from, I think, around 1st of August. But this is current affairs. So guys, I'll be starting the current affairs batches for mains, I think 25th. 25th, I'm starting the classes for current affairs related to mains for this year. And it was really amazing to connect with you. It's been really a while. I think it will have, we have decided the classes. There is one reason that I'm not able to give you the number of classes, because imagine that the survey and the budget is a thick one and a big one. So maybe a few classes here and there will happen. So do one thing, on 24th, do check the portal, because we'll have a fair bit of idea and we'll mention a range of classes for you. But it should not be too much. You would have seen the approach. So we'll follow the crisp approach. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. And I'm so happy that I could take the lecture with you as my first lecture out of a very long time with you guys, and hope that you took out some points out of this, which you'll use in your mains. And to my students where I have not, so many of you said that when will you start the classes? Very soon. Now I'm back, I'll definitely start. So thank you so much, guys. Anything that you want to know from my side? All okay? All fine? Great. So all the best and God bless you. Thank you so much, guys. वो स्कीम बुक के लिए बता दीजिए. All right, so let me see answer some कर दीजिए वीडियो. हाँ ठीक है. So there are some. अच्छा, this was not. Oh, this is for YouTube. Okay, so hello to my students who are watching us on YouTube. Let me answer some of your questions. Guys, it will help you. One or two questions that your friends have asked. So one of your friend is asking that for every data that we use, is it important to mention the source and justify? If you can mention a source, that makes your data more authentic. But if you cannot mention a source, but you know that your data is authentic, even that works. Because many a times it is not possible to remember all the sources. If you can mention, great, ideal. If you cannot, make sure that your data is not wrong. Right? So this is the rule. Yes, it will cover everything. But only current affairs, huh? Only current affairs. And for ye ho gaya, this question is there. Provide report or source. No, I mentioned about that. Same here. Really great to be back. Okay. For every state, no. Okay, fine. So I think I have answered all your question. And bacho, if you feel that you need more help in understanding how to use current affairs or how to go for mains answer writing, do let us know. Give us a feedback. What we can do is, dekho, I cannot give you a lecture of without making you write something in the class in terms of those questions and answer. It is not possible for me to tell you how to go about mains. So if you want a little more practice, kuch aisa sessions, if you need more, do let me know. I'll create more sample questions, etc. I'll make you do it in the class. Thoda practice hoga. So you let me know in future. Fine. But abhi ke liye jo homework I have given, please do it. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.